Are in fact now live. So hello everyone and welcome to the Slam Jam wrestling show here on the Extreme Improv Xstreamed YouTube channel, as well as the Slam Jam YouTube channel and a bunch of other platforms, Twitch and such like. You know, click follow, like, share, subscribe and all that wherever you're watching. There's a bunch of stuff happening in the world of wrestling. WWE are about to have some bad blood with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre in the cage. The bloodline story is about to explode all over our face, and there will no doubt be bad blood there. AEW have got, well, a new TV deal, and I'm sure there's a load of other stuff that we can discuss. Apparently, Sammy Guevara was knocked out on Ring of Honor, which we can all be grateful for. Now, on the show tonight... No, I'm not. I don't really mean that. Right, okay. On the show tonight, we have a fantastic lineup of wrestling maniacs, starting with Gav. Say hello to the people.
Hello, people! I can't hear you.
Yes, but someone who can hear you is Dave. Say hello to the people.
Sorry, what?
Fantastic.
So I got you there. Hello, everyone.
Good. Now, guys, let's get into it. I'm sure we're gonna have all kinds of things to go over this week. There's pay-per-views coming up. I don't know who's seen what in terms of like AEW and Raw and things this week, but it looks like we may be getting a debut soon on AEW. If anyone saw what that was hinting at with Jon Moxley and who they're potentially bringing in to be someone linked to that whole storyline. Everyone looks confused. Perhaps I got a different reading of this entirely.
I haven't seen it, so I'm intrigued.
Dave, did you see this? What was your take on it?
I watched. I watched most of it this morning, and then I watched Carter and Danielson about 3 hours ago. So seeing it. Are you talking about what Excalibur said towards the end? So like, who is controlling? Who's
exactly. And who are they going to have that's going to be controlling Moxley other than Shane O'Mac? That's the rumours that are setting the internet alight. That it's going to be Shane McMahon to be brought in. People have been. So
you're saying that all this stuff with Jon Moxley and his thing of death jitsu or whatever it calls his form of martial arts. Are you saying essentially it's Shane McMahon bringing back Raw Underground?
Yes, absolutely. Not only is he bringing back Raw Underground, but I think with the AEW TV deal, like it would seem, as far as my understanding of it, that Rampage is to be no more when we hit 2025. I loved the first 2 weeks, haven't watched it since. But, I have, but not much, and that's the truth. But, are they going to do some storyline where they're going to say someone else has got some control of AEW, and then Shane McMahon walks out? Are they going to go for that reference, that nod and a wink to Shane McMahon coming out on the final Nitro?
That would be, I don't know, it would be good and bad, I don't know. Would it be good?
I don't think so.
Well, ultimately no, but there will still be something about it that will kind of be good. Like, it'll be like, oh, they did the thing. You know, it'll be that kind of reaction.
Yeah, but it's where does it go with that? Because if it is linked with, first of all, that would bring the whole aura of Moxley's crew down, crashing to the ground.
Yeah.
Like, well, everyone in that group now has a new aura to them that they didn't have previously. Even Wheeler Yuta, who's showing just so many signs of just being a better performer than they ever would have thought of him. And it's all sort of thing of whose side does he want to be on, and all this other bits and pieces. Which I'm sure. I'm sure we'll find out on Sunday when he inevitably turns on Bryan Danielson. But anyway, not this Sunday. It's next week. Isn't it?
I was going to say. I was about to be like, shit. I didn't realise this.
Which show it is this week? So.
Yeah. So WWE this week.
I don't know. It just depends on where it goes. It's this whole this isn't your company anymore.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. And now you're saying it. It's like, oh no, that's where they're going with it.
They're going to get that clip. They're going to get that clip of when Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, and he'll be like, "It's not Shane," and it's like, "Yes, it is." You know.
It's going to be Tony's dad.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Imagine.
Okay, guys.
This isn't your money. It's my money.
Now, I haven't seen like much of it. but I have tried to, I've had a few days where I've not been able to see basically anything. So I've been playing catch up the last couple of days myself. But one of the things which I hadn't seen that's been out for a week or more now is the Vince McMahon documentary. And we can touch on that or not touch on that. I've seen the first 2.5 episodes. It's a well put together documentary so far, My brief thoughts on what I've seen so far is that they've obviously touched upon a bunch of different controversies and covered about at least a 10-year period in that. But yeah, if you've seen it, you might be able to give more about did they bury him further? Because he's they've taken a few digs at him, but he didn't come off too badly.
I was just about to say, I don't think it was that bad.
No,
how it came off with him, because I expected a lot more. And the other thing is, like, I think because we are wrestling fans, so we actually know the whole ins and outs of what's been happening.
Yeah.
So for us, we're just like, okay, we knew that already.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think probably to people outside that may be interested, it'd be kind of like a bit knowledgeable for them to actually find out what he is. But the only thing that I would say about this is they kind of convoluted the character, Mr. McMahon, with the real Mr. McMahon as well.
Well, but see,
Isn't that the point?
yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, right? I have the conspiracy theory here because Netflix have just signed WWE to this big thing. I think with that deal coming up, WWE could have genuinely put on the pressure of, look, even if he's not in the company now, this is going to really shine a negative light on all of us before we're about to be a member of the family, so to speak. And when it was this whole thing of Vince McMahon tried to buy the documentary back, genuinely, I had experience as I was walking to catch a train. I saw a group of 3 girls in front of me who were about late teens, early 20s, and I could overhear their conversation of, and apparently he tried to buy the documentary back. And this was the honest conversation. I was like, what are they talking about? And then they were like, well, I don't know anything about it, but I want to see it now. And I was like, this is exactly the marketing of it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, my conspiracy theory is obviously real world court cases and lawsuits we don't need to get into here. But I feel like either this is going to result in nothing, it's always a possibility, or they're doing something to try to rehabilitate him so that he'll re-emerge in some form. But if Shane McMahon is going to AEW, would you actually put it beyond Tony Khan to bring in Vince for an appearance?
Oh.
Well, look,
he's not going there. I don't think he's going there.
But he's gone there with everyone. Everyone.
He's got some scruples.
Yeah.
He may not have every scruple out there, and he does some things that maybe you don't necessarily agree with, but it's not at the level of Vince.
But it's just so it's so weird that even they in AEW no one has even touched David Benoit with a 10-foot barge pole, and he completely is an innocent bystander in everything that happened. If they're actually going to bring in Shane, bringing in Shane still reflects back onto that situation. I don't know. I've just got weird sneaking suspicions that definitely I think Shane is almost a certainty, but I just feel like this could even go further than that. Time will tell, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not too sure how it would go. I can't see Vince going there. Don't think he would.
Oh, okay. Well, the last thing I'll say on that is the story that Eric Bischoff gave when he debuted on Raw was he phoned up Bischoff, McMahon did, and he was like, Eric, I'd like to think if it was the other way round, you'd give me a call or give me a job. So who knows? Who knows? If it's this whole succession thing and Triple H and Stephanie finally force the old man out, he might be out for some sort of revenge appearance.
But
yeah, this isn't like the same thing. It's not AEW haven't taken over WWE and then bought them out of competition or things like that. I don't think necessarily that situation. I know what you're saying, but
yeah.
I can't see a universe where Vince shows up in AEW.
Okay.
If we go all Doctor Strange on us, then I could say maybe like one universe, maybe. One.
The other thing is, like, who
does Vince appear in AEW?
Just one.
and like would I'm going to call him Dean Ambrose then? Would John Moxley actually go with that as well? You know, like
That's a good point as well. You know,
Yeah.
but well, the funny thing with AEW and their history is that they haven't. Obviously, everything relating to Punk and stuff like that is people haven't always been able to put stuff aside for what's best for business in terms of like wrestling each other, you know, where or just working together where there's past issues. But who knows? I guess never mind that. We can put that to the side for now. I kind of just wanted to say it because if later Vince turns up, I'll be able to get this clip and be like, look how visionary I was. Right, okay. I'll do a Dave Meltzer, and now I'll say the complete opposite, so I've got that clip as well. Now, okay. Let's talk, guys. What's on your mind in the world of wrestling? There's been a bunch of stuff. I don't think there was a show last week. Family emergency. So.
Yeah. I was going to ask. Obviously, Dynamite on last night. They obviously had two quite big matches in Ospreay versus Ricochet and Bryan Danielson versus Okada.
Yeah.
So interesting results on that one with Danielson pinning Okada for his first loss in AEW, and then they had the weird double pin in the Ospreay Ricochet match. Then Takeshi was running out during the restarts at DQ, and it's kind of like I think there's a guy I follow on Twitter who put it best, saying, "Well, way to piss the crowd off twice in the space of a few minutes."
Yeah.
It's like, and I watched a replay of that double pin bit. It was so clunky.
Yeah,
They got
I agree.
into it, and it's like, oh. But yeah, it was interesting. But obviously, it's 5 years of AEW officially with that one. I wondered if there's anything that stands out as like a highlight in those 5 years, or like maybe what's the best thing and the worst thing that AEW did in those 5 years.
Wow, that's a really interesting question, Dave. I'm sure we can between us bounce some ideas, but you go on, Gav.
one that just came to my mind: Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa.
That was a great match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one?
But the bloody one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Lights Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I'll be out there. I think probably the debut on one night of Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, that sort of ending that pay per view.
Yeah.
That was probably the best pay per view endings that they've done.
I was literally going to say, the same there. In terms of debuts, like, oh my god, in terms of debuts, like, well, hang on. So we'll come back to this in a second because I like this topic of discussion that you brought up, Dave. But last night, Shelton Benjamin is in AEW, so it's only going to be a tiny amount of time before what are they going to call themselves? Like the Ouch Enterprise, Enterprises. What version of that?
He's
But anyway,
referencing to business, doesn't he? So it's going to be something business related, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, who are they going to bring in, Ashley?
yeah, they have
Pay
to.
clerks.
They have to
Pay
bring in Lashley.
Clerks or whatever.
Yeah.
Clerks, whatever you want to call it.
Okay,
Yeah.
but let's come back. So in terms of debuts in AEW, probably the biggest was still Punk's debut on the second Rampage. Moxley's debut, like as a surprise, which kind of people suspected anyway, on the first Double or Nothing, was a big moment. They've had tons of like epic matches. It's hard to pull one out of thin air just because there's been so many like 5-star matches, truthfully, So I don't know what the best match in AEW history is.
What's your worst moment of
Okay.
of AEW history?
Well, that one, my mind lights up even more. They have a lot of good matches, so it's kind of like, that all looks good when you line up all the good stuff. The bad stuff sticks out a lot easier. So there was like what was that Mimosa match with Orange Cassidy and Jericho? That was
still feuding over.
that was one of the dumbest ideas. But they've done a lot of dumb ideas, lots of little botchy things. But that stands out. As one.
Ring.
Oh my god, yes, the exploding ring.
Exploding ring.
And Eddie Kingston selling it anyway.
They had to,
Wasn't his fault.
Why it happened afterwards. So but I'll say that they do make a mistake. They do try and cover their tracks a bit, which I quite like.
Yeah.
The one question I did actually have as well for this, and with it being AEW's anniversary and everything, what's something about their production or something they do in the shows that you would change? For me, it's the constant going backstage to Renee to be interviewed, where inevitably someone's going to interrupt the interview and set up a match for the next show or next week or something like that. Because it's got so formulaic now. You just sort of like sit there thinking, well, there's no point. What do you think about what's happened? You might as well just say, well, I'm not going to say much because I'm about to be interrupted by someone who will only appear to me when they're on camera.
Yeah,
true.
Gosh, I think, if I was to change something about their production or just like their format, simply put, they're already doing it. I'd get rid of Rampage and I'd get rid of Collision. I'd make each week have a stronger audience because people aren't spread out so thin, and I would make each show feel like an event. I loved when AEW first started, and I think the first one they did was when before WWE started arguing with them about it, they had across 2 Dynamites, it was like, this is Bash at the Beach, because Cody Rhodes, and the story was Cody Rhodes and Conrad Thompson sat there checking what names had expired that Dusty had come up with, and they're like, it's expired, so they took it. And they ran 2 weeks, like one Dynamite, then the next Dynamite was Bash at the Beach Part 1, Bash at the Beach Part 2. And then by the time they did the next year, they renamed it something or other because WWE had kicked up a fuss. But I loved the idea because then WWE with NXT started doing that, where whatever the pay-per-view name was, they'd suddenly have like Halloween Havoc Night 1, Halloween Havoc Night 2, or something like this. Yeah. And it just sort of started making... with AEW, there's a lot more pay-per-views now, but in their earlier years, they'd have just like the regular TV shows feel like pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know, Gav, what's your highlights or lowlights of AEW's 5 years?
Oh, the lowlights, I think it was around the whole CM Punk issue.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest low for me. It actually stopped me watching it, to be honest.
Well,
I still need to...
I stopped watching Collision.
Well, yeah, there's that as well.
Yeah.
But, it was the Young Bucks that actually stopped me watching the whole of AEW altogether.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's really childish.
Yeah.
And from there, I was like, cancel that subscription.
Yeah.
And I can't warrant giving money to them for that.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah. But I'm trying to get back into it, but it's hard because my life has taken up a lot of other things since that. But
yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? And Gav, like we've said it many times on the show, life gets in the way, and you only have so much time where you can watch wrestling. And
exactly.
Like when Rampage started, I think we said at the time, it's like, wow, that hour was awesome.
Yeah, it was really quick.
And it was quick, and he felt good, and there was a lot to talk about. Any show, and like I think Raw is going. Well, I think Raw is 2 hours, and I think on Netflix it's going to remain 2 hours. There's rumours, unless it's been updated since, that SmackDown might be 3 hours.
3 hours. Yeah.
So they're still going to have the same amount of content, but sometimes less is more.
Definitely. Definitely.
Just because
you want to be.
No, go ahead.
Again, like you want to let the fans beg for more. Not over deliver.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So,
yeah. Well, I had this conversation with someone the other day. I was like, if someone said, hey, do you want to go to the gym every single day? And like the instant reaction was, no, I don't want to do that. I was like, well, would you do once a week? And they were like, well, maybe. Yeah. And instantly, from it being no, I'm not going to go at all because it was too much, then you find the balance of, well, what is right? And with AEW, it's like, well, this was on Rampage, this was on Collision, this was on Dynamite, this was on Ring of Honor. Like, even to watch All in London, and like Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara came out with like titles. I was like, what titles are they? It's Ring of Honor. It's like, okay, so I kind of needed to watch Ring of Honor to get the full context of what's happening here.
It's just too much.
Too much.
Too many titles. And again, like that's to the point, as well. too many titles.
Too many titles.
Way too many titles. Yeah.
Well,
Just...
yeah, like, and again, I've said this recently on the show as well. Like when TNA started, and it had the NWA World Title, the NWA Tag Team titles, and then they said, and we've got this new X Division title, and it seemed really important. And I remember reading, like, TNA on their early days had got Ask the Professor with Mike Tenay. And regularly people would say, are they going to bring in, like, an Intercontinental or US title? And he was like, no, you know, less is more. We'll make this more important.
Exactly.
And then there was the Global Championship. And then they introduced whatever other titles. And it was too many. And now in AEW, there's... On the men's side, there's the World, the Tag, the Trios... the International, the Continental, the TNT, and then all of what they've then got in Ring of Honor, and then the women's TBS, and then Ring of Honor, and it's just like about 12, 15 championships.
Yeah,
it's too many. WWE has too many as well, but it's just a problem. But actually, I think the difference in WWE is you have world titles, then you have, and everyone understands the United States and Intercontinental Championships are equal.
Yeah, that's right.
And then after that, what is there another men's title? Unless before you get to
there is.
No, there isn't another men's, is there?
No, it's just a tag after that.
Yeah. So even though, and then obviously in NXT you've got the North American title, and I don't know. Does AEW actually have more titles than WWE?
Oh yeah, a lot more. But the thing is, as well, I think WWE is going to try to introduce a women's mid-level title as well.
I'm okay with that, like, because it's always been like the problem WWE have had is that when they had like the SmackDown Women's title, the Raw Women's title, or the WWE Women's title and the Divas title, is like, well, they're kind of equal to each other. So it just kind of meant that if all of the women were just going for one belt, it means, well, are they all kind of on the same level? Because with the WWE World title, it's always like, well, you know, here's the people going for the Intercontinental title. They're at this level, about to move up. So, you know, I'm not against that at all. I think that's a good thing.
I think it's an argument for it. You know, as you just mentioned, the North American title in NXT has got a women's and a men's division, pretty much.
Absolutely.
They can do that easily, a women's Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They should do that. And do you know what? I wouldn't be against, if they were going to introduce that, imagine if they brought back the Evolution pay-per-view.
They should.
They did it once, and people were like, why didn't they do it the next year? And perhaps it didn't do as well, but I'm sure they had the network by then anyway. So
and say it was a success.
Yeah, right. So I think if they're bringing in like a women's Intercontinental title, they could have a women's pay-per-view. And it doesn't mean that they have to, like, some of these things they don't have to do every year. Like I don't think they do King of the Ring every year, or maybe they do now if it's the King and Queen's Crown thing.
Yeah.
But when they stopped doing King of the Ring every year, it's like, well, if it comes back every 2 or 3 years, it feels a little bit more special.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Dave, you are back.
I'm back.
Yes. So we've kind of like segued off of like highlights from AEW, but did you have any other particular highlights or lowlights that you didn't get a chance to cover?
The production one I was going to say about AEW is stop going to breaks whenever the heel is in control.
Yeah.
Because if you ever watch, I feel sorry for anyone who's like a casual viewer. They want to watch lots of different like wrestling and things. And they go to that, and as soon as something happens on the outside, they cut to break, and that the entire 3 minutes, that's when the bad guy or girl is in control, and they cut back, and suddenly it's the comeback, and it's like, well, you've just missed out on all the moves and the hit that the heel could do, and possibly that can happen. It's just I just find that again formulaic, but that's not right about that. We've moved on now, so that's fine.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Bad Blood. We can do some predictions for it. I've got the whole card here, which, unless they add anything to it, once again, is listed as 5 matches. Which, you know, WWE are on this trend of pay-per-views having less matches on. And I don't know, it feels like it's working to some degree.
I like it.
Those attendance though, because they don't even have dark matches, do they? On these shows.
Not that I, not that. Well, do you know what? Let's have a look. Let me just go on to the last pay per view. Oh wait, previous No Mercy.
I was going to say they're following the UFC format.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go. I can't. Oh, it's so annoying. Wikipedia. They're listing all of the NXT stuff. So Bash in Berlin.
Listing
NFTs. Did I say NFTs? Jesus. Right. Yeah. There's no dark matches. We can talk about NXT as well. New NXT champion.
I didn't see it, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. Is that a massive spoiler?
No. Don't worry. It's fine.
Yeah. So Paige lost it.
I had a feeling it was going to happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been quite finding NXT quite enjoyable recently, with all the sort of little TNA crossovers they've been doing with them as well. Quite interesting.
I need to watch it.
Yeah.
How long is the show now? Is it 2 hours?
NXT?
It's 2 hours. Yeah. But they got they did really well. CW debut did 895,000 viewers, which was about 100,000 up from last week. So it's been a big success the first night at least. And doing it in an arena outside the usual performance center studio or whatever they format usually. Being in Chicago, they obviously had CM Punk guest refereeing the main event and return of Cora Jade during the women's title match. So the Chicago crowd got lots of things to pop about. I haven't seen the whole show yet, but by all accounts, it seemed to be a good show. Like you say, Triple H was winning that title at the end, which opens up a few new storyline bits. I saw some people saying, Ethan Page didn't have a great reign. Well, it's like, well, it wasn't meant to. He's a bad guy who cheats to win all the time and tries to get out of things. But he did a good job in that respect. So.
Do you know, I think the fact that they brought in Page and put the title on him was something which was quite from left field anyway. And if they'd brought... And the funny thing is, if they'd just brought him in and put him in whatever feud, even if it was a higher-up feud, he would have just felt like a mid-carder. Whereas giving him the title for a couple of months, he'll now always be in that kind of Miz position of like the chicken shit heel who can kind of suddenly be in the world title picture and then they can just move on from him when they need to. It's a way to quickly put someone into that, we need to elevate someone into a position, just whatever we can do.
Yeah.
And then bin him off again. Yeah. He's that kind of personality.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing. I think a lot of people say, I see a lot of criticism about Ethan Page a lot of the time. A lot of people saying, he's not that good and all that stuff. I think he is good. And I think he's in that. I think there's nothing wrong with being in that position. And I think if people are, it's that thing of everyone thinks, you've got to be in this business in order to be the champion, to be the main event guy. And it's obviously said in interviews, it didn't feel in TNA and in the AEW you got the chance to be the guy. Right? Yeah. When he's got here, he's been able to do that straight away and be the champion almost immediately. And it's I can't remember who it was. I think it might be someone like Paul London said in an interview. They said, everyone said, you've got to fight to be the champion. And it's like, well, no, I'm probably not going to be in that position. I'm just going to do my best in whatever position I can get into, and then just be that thing. William Regal said in this podcast when he was doing it for a long time, he never had designs on being the world champion. He just did his job and knew his whatever role he was put into, he'd try his best with and do his best with. That sort of thing. So not everyone has to be the main event.
Not everyone goes into it with that. But,
Something I was going to say, you just mentioned about Regal. I heard something which was probably old. It probably wasn't a new interview, but maybe it was, where they said about after he was King of the Ring, he said that he doesn't know that they were going to make him like world champion, but he felt like he was on course for it. And then he had like whatever drug thing come up, and he said that he hadn't done anything. And it was really fascinating because he said, like, when I did drugs, I really did drugs. And so whatever came up for whatever reason, he was suddenly in the hot water and may have been out of the company for a while. And
I thought it was that he was getting this push and that he wanted to make sure he was in the best shape possible. And so he started doing a few little bits here and then, nothing huge, but it was enough to fail wellness policy or something.
Well, do you know what like, okay, so if that's the case, then that means what he said was some kind of spin, but like I said, I don't know how old the interview was. Something I want to bring up, since we mentioned about NXT and CM Punk being there. If you guys didn't see this reference, this is for your viewing pleasure. I just want your comments on this.
Oh yeah, that's all that.
I didn't see this one.
Oh, you didn't see this? You didn't see this?
No.
So he's back.
I saw the picture of him and Roxanne Perez.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's very funny as well.
Why was Triple H staring so long?
Well, exactly. Right.
Yeah,
to be honest, I think they kind of botched the moment, because when Shawn Michaels came in, he's like, "This is ridiculous," and he's definitely pointing at his junk. And if it's then meant to be about the hat, he needed to be more vague where he was pointing. But that's fun, and it's weird. It's so weird a year later to see a skit that feels like a very DX style skit with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and CM Punk.
Yeah, Punk. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other time that they were together in that capacity was Survivor Series, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Triple H then had to say, "Oh, CM Punk, are you ready?" You know. Yeah, it was weird that. Oh shit. Oh no! Suddenly it started playing, and I thought it was going to be loud. Luckily, it's not.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's talk about Bad Blood and run through some predictions and stuff. Let's start with Nia Jax and Bayley.
Do not care.
Well,
sorry, I don't.
I'm not going to lie. There's a reason why I said this one first.
Yeah. Well, I was a bit shocked that Nia had beaten Bayley back at SummerSlam, but I hadn't really been concentrating on their story and everything, and I don't really know what this angle is either, apart from Tiffany Stratton has got the briefcase and might cash in at some point, but isn't, because Nia Jax is threatening her or something. I don't know what's going on with that one, but I'm assuming Jax will retain, and there'll be something with Tiffany at the end. Yeah,
I agree. Also, Jax won because The Rock's back and he bought her a house, and so the bloodline have to be involved in everything. So
do you know what? I've got to give her credit, because she's been really good since she's come back. I've got to give her that.
They've used her the right way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
she's been booked right, and again, I've got to give her credit as well, because she has been doing a good role with it as well. So.
Yeah,
I'll give her credit for the fact she didn't kill either Lyra Valkyria or Mia Yim with those annihilators she gave them both. That one with the trash can.
Yeah, that was a bit
So Jax has probably got to win this. Bayley. The unfortunate thing with Bayley, she won Royal Rumble and it was meaningless. Her reign was ultimately meaningless. And if she won it back in this situation, it would be meaningless.
I'm not being bad here, but both women's divisions, isn't it a bit meaningless anyway? The champions, that is. Because, Liv's been swallowed up in Judgment Day stuff now. It's not even about the title for her.
Yeah, so. I mean, the interesting thing there is, because when Rhea was champion, then the women's title was kind of tangled up in Judgment Day, but Rhea is sort of a more, she's better in the ring, so it seemed more important when she was champion. But I know what you mean. It does feel like it is something of a backseat to the rest of that story, which isn't especially about her or Rhea. It's more, it's the Dominic in the in the cage above the they call the shark cage, which I love it. This is Triple H probably, or whoever, looked at what the internet said. Wouldn't this be brilliant if it was custody of Dominic ladder match? And basically they were like, well, we won't quite do that, but we'll have Dominic suspended above the ring. And the only reason that they can't do it as a ladder match is how do Rhea might be able to do it, but how do you retrieve him from it?
Hang Dominic from the
that would be brilliant. Actually, imagine you've got someone dangled up there, and you have to win by getting them into a Samoan drop off the thing. That'd be brilliant. Okay, let's talk. We're on that now. So, what do we think's happening with that? Morgan, Ripley, Dominic in a shark cage. I hope he follows Jerry Lawler's trick of just causing a nosebleed up there. That would be great.
Yeah, I was going to say that'd be quite good. What was the last shark cage like? Active was there? Was it Paul Ellering on NXT, like a tag team match, something like that?
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I can't remember.
I can't remember that.
No, my favourite one, my favourite shark cage moment is when China like bent the bars.
Yeah.
Get out. She didn't actually get out because she realised, oh, hold on, 20 feet off the ground here, I can't actually do anything. But whoever's up there, always chucks the heel a weapon of some kind.
Yeah.
So I think that probably will happen more likely, and Dominic will just something to Morgan, who will then flood it, and Rhea will get it, do something, and then she'll win and win that title.
Okay. But if Rhea wins the title now, then what happens to this story?
That's what I was going to say. I think Liv's got to win it. I think Liv's got to continue the story and push it on.
Yeah.
How long can you push this story on for? Is it the same story, or does she get new challenges?
I think it's going to be a case where, like, Rhea really needs to get in the ring with Dom now. It needs to come to that.
Okay, so... Yeah. I was seeing, this wasn't my speculation, I saw it on, again, Twitter or wherever, saying that, so Dominic will end up taking the Intercontinental title from Jay. Right. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
If that happens, what I'm about to say would completely just leave Jey Uso buried, but I could see Rhea Ripley winning the Intercontinental title off of Dominic.
I was just about to say, it's a big callback, isn't it, to Eddie... China, title, all that kind of stuff. So,
that would be fantastic.
All right, well, yeah, like I say, it's a bit. Whatever happens, let's just move on to something different for both those titles, and let's move on to some new challenges, fresh stories, and fresh faces in that division as well.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Damian Priest, Finn Balor. This is their first match since their breakup, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this will be the first of a few, and so naturally you would think that Finn is going to win, but I think Priest is going to win.
I think Priest has to win this one. I think it's a bit. I don't know. Finn wasn't in that tag match last month, was he? It was just. Yeah. I can't remember what. I didn't see that one, so I didn't actually remember about it, but. I don't know, even though it's called Bad Blood, I've got a feeling it's going to be like a face-heavy win night on this one. Yeah, my predictions are the only one I've got that's a bad guy winning is Nia. So I'll go with a Priest win on this one as well.
Interesting,
actually. I think Finn's going to win.
Do you know, I think it makes sense for Finn to win.
On the TV just lately of Damien that it's that thing of whoever's dominant on the go home show is then the loser on the next one. They've done quite good.
Do you know what? I think it makes sense for Finn to win, but I think Damien needs to win. He lost the world title, so I just think it.
But he was still, what you just said there, he was a world champ, so he's still up to me. Well, Finn has lost a lot of credibility, and I think he's brilliant, but I think he needs to build back up. So
I worry you can't build Finn up now.
But remember he's a tag team champion, which in the booking committee's eyes sometimes means singles wrestler over a tag team wrestler. No,
No, honestly, I don't know quite how you Finn Balor. He'll have a good match with anyone. He's capable of having a good match with anyone. But I just don't know how you make him seem a credible star, because I think he reached his level, and I think in the Judgment Day, everyone loved the Judgment Day, but the thing about it is that it emerged that they got rid of Edge by bringing in Finn, and then it was like, well, Rhea and Damien are more interesting. Oh, and Dominic's really interesting. And then it's like, and then the story of, well, shall we bring in JD? It's like, Finn was really just something of a spare part. Who it was like they were teasing for like 8 months. Oh, when are we gonna turn him and Priest against one another? But they could never quite decide when to do it. So I don't know. I don't know how you quite make Finn Balor a world champion contender again. But I don't.
He's not.
He's not, and it's a real shame.
Yeah.
Like, I think one of the biggest tragedies in terms of, like, you know, outside of an actual tragedy, is Finn Balor got injured winning the Universal title, and that's a massive what if. Because if they'd pushed him and he'd been, like, maybe it wouldn't have taken off, but he would have, at the minimum, been champion, like, 2 or 3 months.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that would have changed his status from, oh yeah, they said he was a Universal Champion, but literally no one has a memory of it, because no one has a memory of it. It was a celebration only.
But then, I think, turn to, with that, KO.
Yeah.
Do we all even remember him being champion? Really?
I do. I remember his match where he lost it against Goldberg.
I was going to say that. There's only 2 matches I remember. That one, and when he won it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. With the whole thing with Seth and Triple H. Yeah. I don't know. I think Kevin Owens could be world champion again. And I think they'll make him world champion if there's all this stuff about will he go to AEW. But personally, I think it would be a mistake for him to go to AEW.
I think so.
I think WWE always like him, and even though there's been the changeover from Vince to Triple H, he's always just been in the position of, we want to get behind you, but this other thing is more popular at the moment.
Yeah.
So just wait your turn again. So unless he's just super frustrated with that, I think he'll stay in WWE, and I think they'll promise him not a WWE title, but a world title at some point. Although, is he on SmackDown? He is, isn't he? Yeah.
WWE,
Yeah.
That's better.
Yeah. Okay, so who did we actually say? Who have we got for Balor and Priest? I say Priest has to win.
Same.
I'm saying Finn on this one.
Okay. And now we come to the interesting stuff. Let's go with the Bloodline first. Cody and Roman versus Solo and Jacob Fatu.
I was going to say who is it because I just said the Bloodline on my screen, so I didn't know who it was going to be.
Do you know what? I've just got to say, Jacob Fatu, the baddest Bloodline member anyway.
Yeah.
You know? And I just love that guy. I can't wait to see him and Roman. I think The Rock's coming back sometime.
Yeah. I will say right now, Jacob Fatu to win the Royal Rumble.
Ooh, wow.
That's what I would like to see win it.
Yeah, that would be pretty
And then Cody at Mania.
Oh my god. Does that work though? So what, Roman versus Rock, non-title. Are they, does Rock want no one?
No, I guess not. I'm saying of someone who I'd like to see. But I'm sure he'll be in there with a very big impact.
Do you know what? Like, based on...
I would like to see him beat Cody.
I can absolutely see Jacob Fatu being the person that eliminates and beats however many Kane and Brock got rid of.
Yeah.
You know, whoever's got the record now, whether it's... Who is it? Is it Brock? Is it Roman? What, he beat what?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Whatever.
The in one night thing, yeah.
Okay.
Roman, I think 13. I think.
So then, do you remember? Was it like 2020 when Drew eliminated?
Oh
Brock?
no, Brock, of course it is.
No, but I don't know if Brock actually beat it. I don't know if he equaled it.
Right.
I did.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right. So anyway, I can imagine Jacob Fatu being the person that eliminates the entire ring. You know, and then it'll be whoever can eliminate him, then goes on to win it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's because, like, when Roman sort of broke that record himself, was the one where everyone wanted Daniel Bryan to win and he wasn't in it.
Yeah.
But they did that, and it's sort of to test the waters, and then the next year they gave Roman the win. So, and again, it's a different person in control, but I can see with Jacob Fatu that they're going to give him that push to the moon just to see, excuse me, what the reaction is, just to build him up as that threat for the next year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't actually see Jacob Fatu as winning the Royal Rumble personally. But
I don't see it. I love it.
I'd be happy to be proven wrong. I wouldn't be against that.
Yeah.
Solo though, Solo just feels like nothing next to him.
Yeah.
The fact that he is supposedly the tribal chief above Jacob Fatu is just a laugh.
Yeah.
He's not that. I don't think he's that bad.
No.
But It's probably got like the mic sort of skill over maybe Jacob has, but it's just that character thing. It's a little bit like I don't know. I don't see the Bloodline at the moment as being a little bit like the Bang Bang Gang on AEW. You've got the leader Solo and Jay White, and they've got that Looney Tunes sidekick next to them. So Jacob Fatu is essentially the Juice Robinson of the Bloodline, where he's like he is a bit crazy and a bit mad out there and all that stuff. And he's the one who's getting all the attention.
Yeah. No, that's a good comparison. Okay,
and of course, he also got the guns and the GOD or whatever, and who are both rather rubbish tag teams.
Yeah. Okay, so who are we saying for this? What's going to happen? Is The Rock going to return at Bad Blood? I don't think so.
Maybe not Bad Blood. Yeah. But
I don't know. When is Survivor Series? Is that the next one?
It has to be.
So that's obviously going to be War Games, isn't it? So it's going to be something involving all them there. Everyone keeps saying Sami Zayn's going to be involved. I don't see that if he's doing this angle with Gunther. Apart from anything else, it probably should be at Survivor Series. And you've got.
Oh wow, we've got Crown Jewel in between.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Let me just check the date of that. November 2nd.
Oh, I did hear a rumor the other day that they might be doing Cody versus Roman at Crown Jewel.
Oh wow.
If they do that, it feels like they're just doing it to get it out the way.
Yeah. Schmoz of some kind at the end, and that will be the War Games match.
So
I can't see that they're going to have Cody and Roman lose this one.
No.
They can't, really. Solo get pinned.
Which means Solo has to take another pin, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we could be in Schmoz City, where as long as Cody and Roman get to celebrate at the end.
But wait.
Yeah, go on.
Then, if that's Crown Jewel, Roman and Cody, did they split up in that point? So they're always talking about got your back kind of thing. Now, who's going to walk out on the other? Is Cody going to be pissed off with Roman and think...
Cody's not going to walk out on him. Of course he's not. He's a man of
integrity.
I think there's going to be something where the Bloodline are going to try to realign with Roman. And Roman's going to turn and Cody's going to be facing all three of them. And maybe you have the Tonga kids on the outside, right? And then Roman will turn back and like fight them off or whatever, but they're going to tease something as if Roman is going to realign with the Bloodline. That's my prediction.
Out comes Paul Heyman.
Oh, I think they're going to save Heyman for a little bit later.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of bodies here. So again, same with The Rock. If you've got if it's like 4 people and stuff, I don't think they're going to have this Paul Heyman moment. They might, and it'll be great when it does happen. But here's what I'll say. If Paul Heyman comes out, it's going to be because Solo and Jacob are beating up Cody and Roman with Tonga, right? Also, like putting in the boots. Numbers game is really bad. Paul Heyman's going to come out. What can he possibly do? But then is where you suddenly have Jimmy, Jay, or like some of them, Kevin Owens, whatever, come out to help Cody. But then they're like, but then if you get rid of the Bloodline, if they run off Jacob and Solo and all that, they exit. Then you're going to be left just with the face-off, where it's not that we're all celebrating together. It's going to be Cody, they come in, like, Jay stands there, but he's just sort of staring at Roman. There's still a lot of bad blood. And then, everyone's going to go their separate ways. And then you have to tune into the next week on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Or Raw, whichever show whoever's on now. It just leaves that cliffhanger, and then perhaps you don't have to have anyone look good or bad. But I think you can do that without Heyman. Because I just think if say Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come out to help Cody, but then still the Tonga gang beat them up a bit more. I shouldn't call them this, right? And then imagine if Jey Uso comes out and he helps as well, but he's he doesn't want to help Roman,
Yeah.
Then you've still got the exact same thing that they did a year ago, or at the beginning of the year, where the Bloodline started disintegrating, but in reverse. where they're now,
Yeah.
are they going to reform the original version of the Bloodline? I don't know. Anyway, so let's very quickly, for clarity, who are we saying takes this? I think it's going to be a schmoz, no clear winner to the Bloodline versus Cody and Roman. Dave, what are you saying?
I think Cody and Roman get the win, but then all the small stuff happens after that.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Gav?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Definitely.
Which brings us CM Punk and Drew. My prediction, straight off, Punk gets injured.
I was about to ask, do we think Punk emerges on stage here?
Yeah, no way.
I prayed for this and it happened.
Yeah.
Oh. I've just lost you.
You just lost
They're
us.
still here.
You're still here.
Back.
You're back.
They're here.
Yeah, like, I think if Punk is going to get his main event at Mania, Punk kind of needs to win to get momentum to fight Gunther or whoever is going to, like, Punk isn't going to win the Royal Rumble. It's too much risk with him. They need to put a belt on him at some point and then just not have him really wrestle if he's going to make it there, because he's been too injury prone for like the last 3 years. So,
In which case, do you put him in there with someone like Gunther, who's notoriously quite a hard hitter?
he's a hard hitter, but, you know, does he injure people? I think
He doesn't injure people,
he doesn't
though,
injure
no.
people. You know, Punk gets injured by taking DDDs. Is like his arm explodes from nothing. So, you know, that's the risk with Punk nowadays. But I don't know. Punk has to win, in my opinion, because he's only had one win in the entire year.
Yeah.
And if you're going to put him in a main event of WrestleMania night one, then you have to start getting some momentum on him.
You need to, definitely.
I think
And Drew doesn't actually need it. Drew is brilliant anyway.
Drew is proved himself to be like in the top 5 in this last year. You know,
Definitely.
when he was world champion, again he had the terrible timing hit of the pandemic hitting, and we didn't get to see. Obviously, he could have good matches, but we didn't get to see the best of his character. But the CM Punk situation for him, and the change of regime, so now he's got the freedom. He's shown more than what I'd ever seen of him anywhere. Like, I can't say about Indies and stuff years ago, but in TNA as Drew Galloway and stuff, he was good. But he's just leaps and bounds beyond that now.
Oh, big time. I never actually really digged him that much before. But like last year and everything, he's been brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just taking that little, I don't know, like a nugget of reality that obviously whatever had actually happened between him and Punk in the past, and they just worked on it and just made some really good moments. This bit, even if the bracelet stuff was getting a little bit over the top.
Yeah, too much.
But yeah, it's been quite immense. I'd actually forgotten about the fact that Punk's only had like 3 matches in this entire calendar year.
Yeah.
So so he needs to get back in there and actually start wrestling a little bit more often, I guess, to make sure he's not that injury prone. But yeah, I think you're right. I think he has got to win this. To get any sort of momentum and anything back on what they've invested in him.
But I'll tell you something. Look, I had this email from WWE earlier because I'm that special. Don't know if I'll be able to show you because it's a stupid thing. But literally, what you're saying about Raw going. Okay, look, Raw going to Netflix. Look who's front and center. You know, they know. they absolutely know that Punk is. Like, did any of you guys see? There was Punk was on some podcast. I'll try to say what it was because. It seemed a really good podcast overall. Let's see if
I'm shocked. I'm shocked after what happened. He's ever going on a podcast ever again. So
the last year though, he's had so much fun going on interviews with. What was that one he did with Ariel Helwani, where he just absolutely he spoke about everything that was supposed to be. He's not allowed to speak about stuff, and so he was on the No Contest Wrestling podcast, and he was saying about that. He got a phone call from Nick Khan saying about you're interested in you potentially coming back, and where it's Chicago for Survivor Series in like 3 days, and if it's true, he says that like there was no contract and they had to get everything sorted out, and he kind of told the backstory of that, which was fascinating to hear. I feel like there's no way. I think that's a bit of smoke and mirrors, because I just remember Punk walking out of All In London from last year with the belt over his shoulder, doing the whole Roman thing. He'd got it well on. He'd turned up backstage at Raw when he was still in AEW. He was like mentally out of the door a year and a half before he left, and so I don't believe. So they might say, "Oh yeah, we had no agreement. Oh, there was no like 90-day thing or whatever." But I think it was all in the works for him to get out of there. It genuinely, yeah. Go on, Gav.
Because I was there thinking that I had a feeling he was intentionally trying to get fired.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about
see,
it.
here's the thing: Drew McIntyre's photo with Jungle Boy, right?
Yeah.
I don't. That would be interesting to know a bit more of the backstory of that. But I swear, in 5 years or 10 years, it's going to come out that Jungle Boy actually did Punk a favour, and that whole thing was just planned between them, so that he could escape, and it'd be like, "Oh, Jungle Boy, if you get fired, I'll try to get you a position in WWE. If you don't get fired, use it, and then you'll be the scapegoat." And then he's main eventing or going for world titles at least on AEW.
Apparently, with that photo, it was the case where they bumped into each other, and Drew was like, "Oh, we've got to get a photo because it's going to do really well if we do this with the internet."
Yeah.
So that's what the motive was behind that.
Okay, but it definitely was really good for Drew. Was it really good for Jungle Boy?
Seems to be doing all right.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But like, it's just like, if I was Jungle Boy in that situation, and if you genuinely didn't like CM Punk, it's like, well, do I want to help CM Punk's feud here? Does that actually help? That kind of helps CM Punk.
Well, the thing is, with that, Drew is like, not being funny, he's on a bigger pedestal than Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
So Jungle Boy can use that to pedal up as well.
Yes,
so.
Fair point. Okay, so I'm saying Punk has to win. Are we all in agreement? Okay, awesome stuff. So, guys, that's our predictions. We've been going just under an hour. Before we wrap things up, we could have a few more minutes if you guys are good for it. Are there other things that we've not covered that is on your mind?
I mean, there's one thing. I don't know if my background sort of gave it away or not. But
oh yeah, shit.
About half hour before we started. Elimination Chamber in the UK next year.
I'm there.
Did you read anything more about that, Dave? Because literally, I think I shared that, but
I didn't post it. I don't know if I posted it, but it was, I didn't see anything else.
Okay, let's see if I can get it, because I think that was posted by Sports Skeeder, who usually reliable enough, I guess. Elimination Chamber.
Depending on where it is, of course, because
it's
up there. But,
I know. Yeah, I was going to say, when I heard Clash at the Castle's coming back, and then it was in Scotland, I was like, bit far.
The thing is, though, I remember like a few years ago, Stephanie McMahon was interviewed about Elimination Chamber, she didn't press for it, and they said that they weren't doing it as often at that point because they need to find arenas that can actually manage to hold up that chamber,
right?
Because it is so heavy, and so they need to make sure they've got buildings that are like strong enough to do it. So I'm trying to rack my brains thinking what arena in the UK they could possibly use, because even if Wembley Arena probably could do, but it is a bit of an older building. Is it going to have that contraption to have the contraption to put that on? Is it I mean, what other arenas can we think of that might be able to do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the buildings at all well enough to be able to comment, but that's an interesting thought. So, but what I've just brought up here, again, are posts on Twitter, just having a look here. According to...
They had it in an open arena last year.
Sorry?
This year. It was in Australia, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was. It says here... the current cities leading to host the event are Manchester and Birmingham.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can imagine they're going to do that. Do we know all this stuff about, like the mayor tweeting Triple H, and then there being these photos of discussions about WrestleMania coming here? We know where WrestleMania is in 2025. Do we already know where it is in 2026, or is there still a possibility?
Sure. Could be.
That's sad.
That'd be good if it does come here.
Yeah, like that'd be amazing.
That'd probably be bad for AEW if they did do WrestleMania in 2026, because obviously they'll be back that year for All In. So
Wow.
they're doing Forbidden Door next year or somewhere. They haven't said where yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate timing for them if they got their original Wembley gig, but then they'd already been picked to the post by Mania, and everyone's going, I spent my budget on wrestling this year, sorry.
Yeah.
That's
It's expensive now as well.
Oh my god, they're insane for everything. Guys, is it either of you going to Royal Quest? New Japan coming back. I hopefully will be. It's just about like whether or not I actually can, but that's the plan currently.
That's back at Crystal Palace again.
Yeah, such a sucky location, to be honest. Well, it is for me. It depends where you are, right? It was good because there wasn't a bad seat in the house, which is always a good, good thing. But what I was going to say is like AEW, their position with like I don't know, I could perhaps look it up here, but the attendance for All In this year was less, and there's the reasons for it. Yeah, absolutely. So they couldn't aim for the sellout, but apparently they couldn't do it anyway. Attendance 46,476. It's still really good. Obviously that's really good. That's amazing. I'd love to get a show that sells that. But is it?
Imagine Extreme Improv and wherever it's at.
Yes, come on. Right. Can I have a suggestion? No. Why am I shitting on my own show? Right. Okay. Now. Sorry. What was that? Sorry. Dave, run up with the mic, will you? Right. Okay. Now. But anyway, so it's the law of diminishing returns. Like AEW, when they did it the first time, I understand completely that off the crest of the wave, they announced immediately next year we'll be back. And then, obviously, just before they announced, well, next year we'll be back with Forbidden Door. And then we'll be back in 2026 for All In. But I don't even know if they confirmed that they would be back at Wembley with All In. But with WWE clearly sniffing around a WrestleMania, where is going to host WrestleMania other than Wembley?
See, this is where, like, I always go back, like, a couple of years ago. I was away on holiday at Butlins.
Which one? Which one?
Bognor.
Bognor. Yeah, been there.
And she's going down there in a couple of weeks. But I was wearing a wrestling t-shirt, and one of the guys that was actually working down there, he was like, "Oh my god, are you a wrestling fan?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, I heard All In is coming here, and I'm getting it just to get a chance to see CM Punk. I heard that he might be on it." And I'm just there thinking, hang on a minute. After everything that's happened now, like after the fact, it's just like, why did Tony let him go?
I know.
God, come on. That was your milk.
It was a weird situation. Like, I don't know.
Hold on. Sorry, that was your milk.
Yeah, I was going to say your cow, the milking. Yeah, sorry.
I'm going to use that, Gav. I'm not going to lie. That's good. I'm going to use that. Oh, that's my milk.
I couldn't leave it there. I was like, what do you mean?
Oh my god. Do you know what? Actually, the only thing that sort of brings to my mind is, and like this isn't at all like amusing, but do you remember when Michael Jackson died? Like the doctor who they ended up, I don't know what the end of the story was. The doctor they ended up saying was responsible for giving him the drugs. Michael Jackson would say, "I want my milk," to refer to the drugs. So. How about that? So perhaps I won't say I'm not going to use that going forward after all. But okay, so I forgot what we were saying. Oh yeah, so CM Punk, right? I don't know if we'll ever get the true full story there. But but again, going on this podcast that he was on, that's been shared over the last day. This thing about I was fired. I don't have a no compete clause and stuff like this. Tony Khan saying I've never feared for my life. If Tony, he'd probably dodge the question, but I'd love to know what Tony Khan considers his relationship with CM Punk to be today. Because CM Punk and Triple H, CM Punk and Vince McMahon, would hell freeze over? And evidently it did.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why in 2 years' time or 5 years' time, hell couldn't freeze over again and CM Punk? It feels like CM Punk and AEW and Tony Khan could never work things out. But if he's back in WWE, it shows that CM Punk can work things out.
Definitely. And like the thing is, even with the Ariel Harani interview, he was there even saying that Tony's not a bad man. So
yeah,
it's just that he was a bad booker. Or
a bad businessman. He was basically saying, like, because in that interview he was like, what was he saying? He's like, it wasn't a business based on making money.
No.
But actually, do you know what? Something we haven't spoken about at all, other than very briefly, is AEW do have a new TV deal. They're staying on TBS, TNT, and they'll be part of the streaming thing in the States.
Which is good.
Yeah, which is huge for them.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what the deal is worth or whatever, but
150 million a year.
Oh wow.
It's not to be sneezed at, is it?
Yeah.
Right. And sorry, go ahead, Dave.
That's right. I was going to say, it's as you said earlier, the Rampage isn't part of that deal, so it looks like that Rampage is going.
Yeah.
If you try and find a new home for this this other show, they can possibly do Shockwave.
Yeah, Shockwave, and if it ends up on Fox,
it ends up being Shane McMahon's show. But yeah, no, it's 150 million a year and things like that, and they're going to be streamed live on the HBO Max as well, by Collision and Rampage, Dynamite, sorry. And so in the States, that means it's going to be streamed live no matter what part of the States it's going to be in. They're not going to have like the delay or whatever side of the States or whatever, so the East Coast and West Coast and mid America is that, I don't know. But it doesn't affect the deals over here, so it's still going to be on Triller and Live TV over here and other things like that. It's just for the States. It's much like the Netflix thing with Raw. It's not going to actually affect us at all. We're going to see Raw on Netflix for next year because it's not part of the UK specialisation.
Dave, I think it is.
I don't think. I read somewhere it wasn't.
Oh wow. Okay, I'd be really bummed out if it isn't. But I thought.
I know that obviously the network is finishing by the end of the year, isn't it? So that's
is it?
Part of the thing. Yeah, the network's.
I thought because didn't WWE announce that?
I've read nothing official. I don't know.
Yeah, because this is like a few months when they first announced it. Before they announced the Netflix thing, hadn't they announced that SmackDown was going to USA Network? And then when they announced the Netflix thing, they said that around the world it's going to be on Netflix, and then eventually SmackDown will come to it, but not in the US. I don't know, mate. It'd be interesting. Either way, it's simple. I will get a VPN. I will watch the American Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What about this thing that obviously last Monday they had the last 3 hour Raw?
Yeah.
That's going to be 2 hours from this week.
Well,
which I find very unusual.
Have either of you seen the full Raw from this week? Because I've only seen highlights. So
I saw it, yeah.
What was? Okay. So Gav? What was the full 2 hour Raw like? Did it improve the show?
Hang on, was that a 2 hour Raw?
No, it's the 3 hours has just gone. That was the last one.
Oh, okay. I was going to say because I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I only seen highlights. So is it next week? It goes to 2 hours?
Yeah, this time Monday. Yeah, it's back on to 2 hours. I think that was a decision by the network. I think as they're going, obviously going to be Raw's going to be on Netflix. They're probably thinking, we'll just bring them back to 2 hours then. If that's what they're going to do on Netflix as well. So. But yeah, it's an odd decision by a network who probably you'd think would want as much advertising as they could possibly want on their network for a proven commodity show, you know. Yeah, I liked how I did like how they've been building this last monster standing match between Ron Serene and Braun Strowman. They built it last week where one of them was going to the top rope and the other one, like, caught them, was going on the top rope. And I was like, oh god, they're going to do the suplex spot. They're going to do the ring break again.
Yeah.
And they delivered. Well, apparently backstage, there's a thing I read the other day that said that the backstage got up was they were a bit disappointed with the ring break. It wasn't quite.
It didn't go as great as like others, but it was still good. But we've seen better ones.
Yeah.
And the ref bumped as well. He done well for what it was anyway, but...
I didn't see that bit, but
Right, I'm just trying to see if there's any breaking news before we begin to wrap things up.
Bobby Lashley's signed with AEW.
Actually.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Wait, I can't tell from that if you're pulling...
No, honestly. Yeah,
okay,
honestly.
you're like, yeah. I was like, wait, is that actually or is that pretend Oh, we lost Dave for a moment.
I think we're just speculating on it earlier, aren't we?
Yeah. Okay, so...
Well, I've got one.
Go on.
Because of the angle from the match on Dynamite, Wrestle Dream has got Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Takeshita for the international title for that match.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay, I've confirmed it. I apologise, Gav, I did have to check before I fully believed about Lashley. Why would they do that then? So, okay, so this has to be some sort of leak. Why wouldn't they just bring him out on TV? Because clearly that's what they're going to do.
Well, they've announced it.
Yeah, it would seem so.
AEW
I don't know if AEW have announced it, but various things are coming up here. WrestleLamia, Wrestling Purist, Sean Ross Sapp.
Do you think that this group that they put together, are they going to bring Leo Rush into that group as well? So they're going to prize his Lashley.
Is he going to bend over again? Oh, yeah. Hope not.
Wow. Okay, good. Well, anyway, guys, let's begin to...
Oh.
Go on.
If only they hadn't done that, because I just realised Darby Allin has got an open challenge at Wrestle Dream. What if it's Lashley? What if it was Lashley?
Darby Allin. See, the great thing about that... But, okay, here's the thing. Lashley would swallow Darby Allin in one bite. Like, I don't know that you can make... I think even if he came in...
Yes, but it's wrestling.
Okay, so do you remember when, like, Brock Lesnar debuted and they, like, put him against, like, the Hardys?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, you can get someone that can just be thrown and bumped around.
Yeah.
I think you could do that with Lashley, just destroying Darby Allin to try to be like, okay, but I don't think that elevates Lashley other than it makes him look like a monster by throwing someone that can bump, and take the bumps. But I think it just kind of... It doesn't massively hurt Darby, except for if they do one day want to make Darby seem like a world champion contender. It's like... This was the problem when AEW first started. Luchasaurus... Oh yeah, Joe, Luchasaurus, did you read about him? Collapsed, double pneumonia, both lungs. So I hope he's doing well.
Get well soon.
Yeah. But when it first started, like, Luchasaurus, were about 6'5", seemed like an absolute giant in AEW. And then after a little while, they brought in, like, the Wardlows. But, like, Billy Gunn seemed like a giant compared to most of the roster. And Lashley, I think he's actually not quite as tall as you think, but because he's in the same mold as, like, a Brock and a Goldberg and this kind of thing. But
6'3",
something like that. He's not, you think he's like 6'8", but he's a little bit shorter than what you imagine, I think.
I think he's 6'3".
Well, he might be, but I think he's 6'3" tops. Let's very quickly check this out.
I think he's about 6'1".
I saw Bobby Lashley over here on the UK Indies a number of years ago.
Alright.
He's wearing he had his sweatband phase.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He is 6'3". His build height is 6'3".
Well, brilliant. Yeah.
And what's like Brock? Brock's like 6'5" or something.
What?
I don't know. But anyway, he'd make Darby look small, like ridiculously small. And so
But no more than a Powerhouse Hobbs or a Luchasaurus or anyone else that made him look small. Darby's always going to be that kind of character that has, like, it's the heart more than anything else, isn't it? It's the will to keep fighting and take as much punishment as possible for. But they've got the story. It could be like a case of if it is Lashley and it is a challenge, it's like, it's someone that Darby wasn't prepared for, and they've got that out for that if he is destroyed.
Yeah. Right, okay, so that is some interesting breaking news that we caught just before the end for once. So let's begin to wrap things here, guys. Where can the people find you, Gav?
You can find me right here or the best Gav on X.
Dave?
Yeah. Find me at the Greeno on X and David Jervis Green everywhere else.
Fantastic. My name's David Pstansky. You find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at David Pstansky. Do check out everything Slam Jam Wrestling Show. I've said this on all of the shows this week. I'll say it here as well. Next week will be the last show of the current era before we move into the new era. Everything's getting a fresh lick of paint. The shows are going to still be very similar. I'm not going to overhype it. But there's like new tweaks and new formats. But next week will be the last of the current era.
Wait. No more Hitman?
What, the background? Yeah, this is changing. There might still be some of this theme, but fresh lick of paint everywhere. Fresh intro music, the lot.
I won't lie. So don't overhype it. If we don't get a really disappointingly poor explosion in a ring, I'm going to be very surprised.
That I can guarantee. Do you know what? Jesus, I don't even know how I could activate it now. On if you watch this on the Extreme Improv channel, not like what guys won't be able to see it, but I do have a really disappointing explosion that I used to make happen on the screen, which I haven't done in about a year and a half. So I don't know. I'll bring that back.
I'm fairly sure that exploding ring thing had just happened, just as we'd done the new format of Slam Jam when we had the games and the trivia and things like that on here.
I do miss the games, I've got to admit.
The games are coming back. The games are coming back. There's more defined format. I love the open chat, and that will still stay. But there'll be
Assadie, you're on your way back.
Yeah, where is us? Oh yeah, he wants the games, doesn't he? He's all about the games. Right. So with that, I was thinking that, Dave. I should have said it. Right. So with that, until next time, stay safe. Always stay extreme.